Okay, so I'm gonna introduce Antonin first. Okay. So Antonin is the founder of OuiShare. Co-founder of OuiShare. So it's hard to describe OuiShare even after 3 years, but the idea is it's a community of collaborative and passionate people that talk about the sharing economy, the collaborative economy, and all these idea of mutualizing resources and peer-to-peer networks. I mean, it's kind of blurry, you know what I mean? What is really interesting is what they actually do. I think it's really what's interesting. What they do is lots of different events in lots of different cities. You know, each time I go to a coworking space and OuiShare is kind of my entry point. I can say, do you know OuiShare? Yes, yeah. So for instance, OuiShare can use Copass and their website meeting and so on. So they're a community of people spread across the planet that are doing conferences, that are writing content on a website called OuiShare and OuiShare.net.
Okay.
And organizing a big event each year that is called the OuiShare Fest, and that gathers together all the actors of the collaborative economy in Europe. So it's a very, very interesting model what they did, and a very interesting story that is very linked to my own story, in a way.
And so the story of Eric.
What is the story of Eric?
Eric is a co-founder, started with a co-working space, so he's the co-founder of Mutinerie, where basically OuiShare started. And now he's working very hard on Copass, because his story is that as he's a very intense traveler, he went from co-working spaces to co-working spaces all around Europe and South America, because we were together in Brazil. And he realized that there was not an online network to connect co-workers.
There was not.
Mm-hmm. And he realized also that co-workers share very meaningful values altogether. And when there are shared values, that means you can connect people together. So the way I understand Copass is also a way to connect people with shared values. And this is really something that talks to me a lot, because this is also the thing we try to do with OuiShare, because beyond the collaborative economy, beyond this new economy, what we really try to do is to connect people with shared values so that they can build amazing stuff together.
So you think at the core, you have shared values?
Sure. I think what's really interesting, and that's why it's maybe worth speaking about it today, is really it's funny how to describe what we did, because I think nothing was formal, and that's something that I do really appreciate in what we did. Is nothing was really formal. It's something that as long as we liked doing stuff together, we were willing to do it, and to do it easily, without being too elaborating too much stuff. So sometimes you can have some misunderstanding, but all in all, it works a lot more efficiently than I think writing everything on paper. That was something that was really interesting. I mean, and the two stories are very, very linked to each other. We started when Antonin started the blog a few years ago.
He reshaped my blog.
Yeah,
you revamped it.
I redesigned it, and actually we were at the beginning, when we did some meetings, we were like at the beginning 4 and 5 in a room speaking about the collaborative economy, also with William. And then more and more people came together, and then we had also to step back a little bit, because we had everything to build here, but we stayed very close and kept in touch with what was doing. And he kept on doing the job with Benjamin, with Flor, with all the guys, the stakeholders taking part of in OuiShare. And in OuiShare also, it was very informal. Everything that was going on was very informal, and it was very real at the same time. And I think that this is something that is very, very interesting. I think even if you formalize things too early, I think you can kill them.
Okay.
I think what was really cool here is that just people, sharing some values, wanting to do things together, but without any obligations. It was like if we wanted to, and for the moment we still want to, so that's cool.
Yeah, because we talk a lot about collaboration, online collaboration.
Right.
But I feel like the online part is overvalued.
It's overvalued.
Yeah, like it always starts with meaningful conversations offline, because you need to know the people, you need to trust them in order to collaborate online. And so every time I'm asked, well, I want to start a community and I want to start gathering people so that they can collaborate, but you need to gather them so that everyone can share what really he has in his art, what really matters to him, so that everyone can feel if they rely to those
if they
values.
trust them.
And you know, like, why do I think that the story of collaboration between Mutinerie and OuiShare is a powerful one? Is because first it really made sense, because they were a co-working space, physical space, and we were building an online community. And you know, as I said, you know, in order collaboration to happen, you need both the offline part and the online part, and we could feel that we shared the same value. And the fact that we shared the same value was making collaboration possible. So that's why I think this collaboration was so intense and so great, because first it was just made sense, and second it was possible because we had this ground of shared values that make it possible.
If you were to draw an arc of your road from the beginning and to now, do you have the same arc? The same highs and lows? Do you have the same?
I think it would be more like this. I think it would be more. And there are some times where we're doing stuff, they were doing other stuff, and so we have some times where we don't have to collaborate. So we are not, so we keep on doing our own stuff.
Right.
And then we get back together, do a project, work. I mean, but always, as I said, I think it's really important. It was always informal. It was just because. At some point we had some common projects, and we like to do them with OuiShare. OuiShare also likes to do some stuff with us, so it's very natural. So for the moment it was that. So I'd say it was more like this, and we have our own separate stories, but at the same time it's the two lines just keep on crossing each other, and that's the good part. And
does that feed each other? So in the end,
sure.
What actually nourishes two completely different projects like that? What is it in your story? Where did one help or feed or support the other? In what ways?
I think the first big moment we shared together was the first OuiShare Summit here. And it also resonates to what I said before on the offline and online collaboration part, because OuiShare started with me meeting people offline and gathering them in a Facebook group, but nobody knew each other except people in Paris. But in Europe, people didn't know each other. They only had meeting online, and we needed to for everyone to gather offline in order to start shaping the community online in Europe. And this is what I did. In May 2012, I talked to the Mutinerie brothers, and I was like, hey guys, your space is amazing. We need a space. We don't have any money. We have very little money. Can you help us do the event here? And it was amazing for us, because we were doing this event where we wanted to do it, and it was great for them because there was a bit of press and a lot of people coming for the first time in Mutinerie. So every time, we would gather people here, because we did also 5 or 6 events, OuiShare talks here,
sure.
Like 100 or 150 people with the shared values coming here, knowing the space, and plenty of them came back to work at Mutinerie. So it was I think it was like a great marketing tool in a way for Mutinerie, and for us it was like the only way possible to organize an event, and to organize an event in a space that was really connecting, resonating with what we wanted to achieve.
Yeah, what you can see that how values were important, because when you do a co-working space, the tough part is getting the right people in your space, and especially the first ones, because they are the ones that are going to define what the vibe of the space is going to be. And so for us, as we had the same value, it was really logical for us to say, hey, let's do something together, and let's talk in priority to these kind of people, and let's people identify the space with this mentality and these values. And so you need this, you need the right people, and when you got the right people, then it's much easier after, because people come, they can feel which kind of people are in this space, and so if they buy in, then they come, and if they really don't like the spirit, then they go. Then it's auto-selected, but you need this initial set of people that share the same value. And I think that there are many times actually, if you go, and it's been baby steps at the beginning. It was like we met, yes, for some also like advices on the blog, how to maybe do something with it and so on. I redesigned it, and then we went to his meeting also, the first OuiShare meetings. It wasn't called even OuiShare at the time. So we started like this, then we had the space, then we lost the space. When we lost the space, they were also very supportive, keep on feeding the community, and we were co-working at our own flats and before we opened. Mm-hmm. When we opened, so we had more people also thanks to what we did together. Mm-hmm. We did the summit, so it was cool for them at the time. It was also cool for us. Then we did the conference. So it's really a story that goes, like on and on. And today, now, which is really interesting, is there's something a bit more serious going on, because we're starting Copass. So Copass is basically a tool that allows people to work from anywhere with one single membership, and to allow groups of people also to rely on co-working spaces to get their work done and to connect to meaningful people and ecosystem wherever they go. And so naturally, we thought of OuiShare as a group to test the product, and actually it was really like tailor-made for a community like OuiShare, I think, what we tried to do. And so, now
we're probably the online community in the world that organized most events in co-working spaces.
Sure.
Maybe we Startup Weekend or...
Sure. Yeah, what I was saying is, this is the Copass community is all about getting the people getting their work done in different spaces, and when you're advocating for a certain way of to live and to work, and you see these people actually doing this, like OuiShare, and not only OuiShare even makes sense sometimes.
You mean that they're your ideal customer?
You see them, and you can tell people when you go to co-working spaces, you tell people, I saw this community grow relying on these networks, and I think it brought a lot to them, it brought a lot to the spaces, and this is how communities and companies, because they're actually companies and communities are now much the same, I think. Communities and companies are going to rely on these ecosystem, on these spaces to get the work done. And when you tell people this is kind of forward thinking, you got some examples of that. OuiShare is a very good example of that, and it's even like, it's kind of the ideal example, because it's really split on different countries. It's an open community, so it's not, they got some loose, some people are working together on a daily basis, some other are doing their other stuff and then coming back to OuiShare. So it's really the way of working that we think is going to be the future.
Right.
And you got them in front of you, and you can test the thing with them, have the feedbacks, and it's very, very interesting. So that's that was very, very natural. So now we're, I think, maybe getting a step further in how we can do stuff together.
Right.
And that's the whole story of what we did, just step by step, without any formal agreement, just based on trust. Let's do that, and we do always bigger projects.
So what's upcoming in the future, and what's coming next?
The coming next, I mean, there are many things.
You've got a big conference coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now what I wanted to say also is that we define this, the kind of collaboration we're going to have in the future during weekends. So we spend probably like 3 or 4 weekends together each year. It can be at my home in Nancy, or now it's going to be at Perche. And that's where we talk about the way we see the world in 10 years and how we would like to shape it. And that's where we can see how we resonate together with what we want to build. I think we have different skills and probably complementary skills, and that in the future we can do a lot of other meaningful projects together. So what's coming for us is, so we're doing OuiShare Fest again in Paris. We discussed if maybe we could do it in another city in Europe, but I think that the story is just beautiful to do it again in Paris, as OuiShare started in Paris, and as the community is growing even faster in Paris. We have now a lot of support both from companies, public agencies, citizens who really want this to happen and to grow. People love the story behind it, the fact that we started as a grassroots community, and we really want to, have the greatest impact. The idea is not to make the most money possible, but like to get all the stakeholders of the collaborative economy from Europe and other parts of the world, so that they can discuss together and shape the future together.
Yeah. That's a big milestone, and we're also for Copas. There's another big milestone is we're now letting actually the guys from OuiShare in the system. We're gonna test it for I guess December, and on January we'd like to open it more to like on a beta to more people. So they're gonna be the first to get their hands on Copas and give the first feedbacks, which is very cool because you need some people that you can trust and that have a pleasant but honest view on your product. So that's cool. Yeah, so I think it's gonna be a big deal for the next 3 months. In Copas, it's gonna be a very big deal.
So you're in alpha, sort of?
Yeah, it's sort of alpha. We're inviting people, really like not a lot of people, because we still got to stabilize some things, so they know that they might encounter some bugs or funny stuff, but that's normal. And so we're gonna use
the product is amazing. Have you tested it?
I've seen it. I haven't actually used it.
I'm gonna invite you.
Thank you.
I already have 5 friends in Copas.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many people are on Copas now? 10.
There are about one, because they got all the space managers. So you go on 150.
150 space managers.
110 space managers and about maybe 30 more people that we invited. But it's really we're going step by step, because we got to so doing something lean and something that is where you're gonna waste a lot of time because people don't understand. The frontier is very hard to find, actually. If you do something that is too crappy and people don't understand, you're gonna waste a lot of time explaining, it's normal that it doesn't work, here is how it works. And so you got to make sure that people at least, get the basic principles. Otherwise you're gonna spend your whole time answering questions. So with them it's different, because they know a little bit how we are, and we can tell them physically, don't worry, it's still it's in an alpha or a beta. So they can make some comments and so on without, without saying, hey, what's going on? This doesn't work. It's normal. But it's already kind of polished. It's just that as we're dealing with transactions, we got to be sure that it's working 100% well.
Right.
So
you're preparing for the massive use.
Yeah, massive use. But what is really interesting is to see some people now using it, studying where they go. And there's kind of you got the map here. There's a map here, and people put some pins, on it. And we try to do the same experience on Copas. You got your map, and you say where you go. You recommend the spaces, and now when I select on the map spaces that actually my friend recommend, I got a nice amount of spaces, so I can already go in those spaces knowing that I'm gonna have a nice experience.
Because you've had the review.
Yeah, it's really cool to see it.
So just as a final thing, can you the websites that you both have? Yours is...
So OuiShare.net and OuiShareFest.com. We are launching again both websites in probably a month or 2. So you're going to understand now what OuiShare is all about, because I have 10 different websites.
Relaunching, you mean?
Yeah, relaunching, like the V2. It's going to show what is the community and what we do, why we do it, how we get financed, things like that.
Okay.
And mine is mutinerie.org and copas.org, so COPASS.org.